Okay, so since our previous video was about enzymes, we will try to correlate it with the new topic. Our new topic is about digestion. So there are four main stages of digestion. The first is ingestion. Now, what is ingestion? Ingestion is simply to orally take in food by your hands. The second is digestion. Now there are two forms. Mechanical digestion, in which you basically grind, chop of the food with your teeth. To have to elaborate your concepts, I would just like to you to know that the front of our teeth are the incisors, which just chop off the food, and whereas the molars are the teeth which help us to grind the food. Now, the chemical digestion is by saliva. Since our previous topic was on enzymes, saliva has an enzyme called salivary amylase, which breaks down the starch into maltose. Basically, it breaks down all the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates include foods such as potatoes, onions. The third stage is absorption. What is absorption? Absorption is basically the when the digested food goes into the bloodstream. To help you have a concept of absorption, absorption is when, for example, you give person drugs such as paracetamol. You know, paracetamol is also taken orally as well as intravenously. So when you give paracetamol directly into the bloodstream, it reaches the bloodstream far more quickly rather when you take it orally. So, in essence, what is absorption? Absorption is how quickly the digested food in the form of nutrients goes into the bloodstream. And finally, assimilation. What is assimilation? Assimilation is when the body uses those absorbed foods for the daily metabolic processes such as respiration, etc. Finally, those substances which are not absorbed or digested by the body are simply defecated from the alimentary canal in the form of egestion. Egestion mainly occurs in those substances such as dietary fiber, which have no nutriential value. This is a figure of the human alimentary canal in which you can see the mouth, the salivary gland, the gallbladder, which appears to be like a pear shape. From it, bile is released into the bile duct. This is the liver, the largest organ of the human body, the duodenum, the ileum, and the jejunum. Now, you need to another quick fact about it. The small intestine is that it is wrapped in the human body. You would notice it in the textbooks that it has been written that the human intestine has a great surface area. However, it is coiled just to keep it in the human body. This is the rectum and the anus. Now, in the mouth, since I told you about the types of teeth, the incisors, the canines which are used for piercing meat, and molars, the salivary glands, which I talked about earlier, that salivary amylase, which digest starch, along with it is a protein called mucin, which helps to stick to the food and helps it to bind it together. The tongue finally rolls it to the esophagus. Now, a very important exam question is the phenomenon of peristalsis. What is peristalsis? Peristalsis is the wave-like motion in the esophagus, which is involuntary. Involuntary is extremely important to write in the question or in the MCQ because involuntary depicts that there is no form of energy being used. So peristalsis why does peristalsis occur? Peristalsis occurs due to gravity. You know, the force of gravity acts downwards. So peristalsis occurs from above, helps to travel the food. The food, in this case, the bolus would be the correct term to use. The bolus to travel down from the mouth into the alimentary canal. Now, within in the stomach, we talked previously as well the enzyme pepsin. However, the new thing is hydrochloric acid (HCl). Since we talked that pepsin has an optimum pH of 2 and it works most efficiently at that, HCl we know is an acid. So HCl helps to maintain the pH of the stomach so that pepsin can work efficiently. Also, HCl helps to kill off the bacteria since bacteria cannot reside in an acidic environment. Another function is the enzyme. Its a function is of the enzyme renin, which helps to clot the protein in the milk to just it curdles the milk in the form of yogurt. After after digestion in the stomach, the food is known as chyme. Uh, Now, just for your understanding, the duodenum receives bile from the bile duct from the liver, and it releases digestive enzymes from it. Now, there is a list of all the organs listed. I will tell you them respectively. So, if we talk about the pancreas have the pancreatic juice in it. The pancreatic juice has, like I talked about before, trypsin, which breaks down trypsin amount into amino acids. Here is protease, the lipase, and the amylase. So a lot of digestion works over here. Apart from these functions, I would just like you to know that insulin, which converts glucose into glycogen, is also made in pancreas, and this is the far more important function. However, it will be discussed in the later topics. Now, if we talk about the liver, a lot of things have been written. However, the most important function for you to know is that everything in a human body is metabolized by the liver. If if the liver is if a person has liver failure, the only option is organ transplantation since a person cannot survive without a liver. So, what essentially happens in the liver is that that its function is to produce bile. What bile does is to emulsification. In emulsification, it helps to increase the surface area for absorption of fats. Now, in the ileum, what is tested in repeatedly tested in the exam is the function of villi and specifically microvilli. Now, what microvilli do? You just need to reiterate it in your mind that microvilli have the function of increasing the surface area of the body for digestion. In terms of digestion, the greater the surface area it's provided, the faster and the more efficient digestion occurs. Now, the colon, also known as the large intestine, its main function is to absorb only water. So, if there's a malabsorption syndrome, what happens is the diarrhea because the infection of the colon by several bacteria such as Clostridium difficile or other bacteria. What it does is it inhibits the function of the colon to reabsorb water, and the water is thus released thus released in the urine and feces. Now, finally, the rectum and anus are the last parts of the alimentary canal, out of which the food basically is digested out of the human alimentary canal. However, just for a fun fact, you need to know that in case of constipation, when there is prolonged constipation or severe chronic constipation, hemorrhoids or piles tend to form, which release blood into the feces. Now, this is a summary of all the enzymes used in the human alimentary canal. Fats are broken down by the pancreas, polypeptides by duodenum. You don't need to memorize the table, but just the key enzymes, like I told you, that and saliva, amylase, protease, and lipase. Also, lipase works in an alk, and also the optimum pH for the respective enzymes. For example, lipase works under alkaline condition, protease works in acidic conditions, and amylase works under almost neutral conditions. The neutral pH of the human body is 7. So, for finally, and that's mostly what is the importance of chemical digestion is so that the large insoluble molecules can be broken down into smaller soluble molecules which can diffuse into the bloodstream. We talked about diffusion earlier as well, and the function of cell membranes in the chapter of cells, that cell membranes do not allow molecules which are larger to pass through the cell membrane. Thank you. This just wraps on the process of digestion. Thank you.